Hello everyone and welcome to the Monday Sesh with Asesh, the podcast made with love, especially for the salary finance team. Super excited to be welcoming Katie Salter onto the show today, one of our heads of product and also now I think one of the longest serving members of the SF team. So super excited, although I know Katie well over many years, we always kind of learn new things about people on the show. So I'm very excited for the interview. Just quickly, kind of things which I've been up to since the last podcast, and so to use a Hema term, I have been doing a lot of gallivanting. So since the last podcast, I went skiing for a week, which was really good. I am quite new to skiing, so only my second or third time, but it's soon becoming my favourite thing to do. It's one of very few things which I can't. I'm not good enough to ski and look at my phone at the same time. So I had a week of not doing very much on my phone, which is a very good thing. I went with my kids, who are obviously a lot better than I am. Just something which you could do as a family, which is really nice. Then I came back and went to watch. It was my birthday, so I went to watch a concert with my wife at the O2, which was also very good. We went to see Usher, who was very good. He is almost 50 years old and was still jumping about, kind of doing very well. And then last week I was working in the US, and so I was in Miami with Comcast, one of our clients out there, which was very cool. Comcast own lots of different companies, including Sky in the UK. If you are a Sky customer, you will notice your bills going up the whole time, and so Comcast are doing very well for themselves. But they also own Universal Studios and the theme parks, and then in the US we're also live with Disney, so it's actually very cool. And so my children are very excited now. So when we do go to Disney and to Universal, they will all have access to FinFit, which is the equivalent to salary finance in the US. And then I was in New York at the NASDAQ, which was also very cool. We were meeting with lots of investors for the US business. Got to ring the bell, which was quite fun as well. And then back today, very jet lagged, but excited to be here. And then work-wise, overall, kind of really pleased with how we finished the first quarter. Tim sent out a note at the beginning of the month around, generally doing really well. A few things we're particularly watching, and again, as the month goes by, generally performing well. So on originations, we were about 4.5% down year to date. But for the month of April, we are currently tracking ahead, which is good. And then we had some challenges around kind of the FinMod, which again we're starting to kind of get a handle on. And then the other thing which we're putting a lot of effort into is clients and client retention. We've got a big meeting coming up with Audi, where we're doing a lot of work around just presenting all of the good customer outcomes we've delivered. We've got quite a big team working on that and excited kind of to work on that over the next week and really tell that story. So overall it's been a kind of fun period since the last podcast. So all is good. Okay, on to the next part of the show. So kind of Katie, welcome.
Hello.
Thank you for joining.
Thank you for having me.
How are you?
Yeah, not bad, thank you.
So Katie, how long have you been at SF now?
Oh goodness, trick question. I think nearly 8 years.
8 years, and what number employee were you?
20.
20, very good.
Yeah,
it's good. Time does fly. We've probably, employed maybe 800 people or so, kind of post that across here, India, others.
I think
through the years.
I think since I joined, most of the people have left.
Yeah. Is there anyone else that's longer from an SF side?
I don't know if there is. You and Daniel, obviously.
Yeah.
I feel like I've missed someone, but no, I actually don't think there
Cool.
is. I think I'm.
Longest,
I think I'm holding up the fort.
Due a watch soon. Well, congratulations and thank you. But like I say, super excited about today. Just I guess kind of get to know you, both at SF, but also kind of you generally. And so we'd love to hear about kind of where you grew up and kind of where everything started, and about your childhood.
Yeah, so I grew up in Buckinghamshire, so about an hour outside of London, a place called Chesham, which was lovely actually. It was like it was that nice mix. When I was younger, it felt very countryside. when you actually then go to like proper countryside, you realise it's not really at all. But it's sort of, you've got the countryside and you're surrounded by fields, everything's lovely, but you're actually pretty close to London. So my dad worked in London, and he could get in pretty quickly. And actually, when I got a bit older, it was nice to have London on my doorstep. But I was never a Londoner.
Yeah.
I was always a kid that was outside.
To London?
35 minutes on the
really
train.
good.
Yeah, so it's that kind of nice compromise of it was close, but not too close. Zone used to be Zone D, and now it's Zone 9 on the tube. So it's kind of fake London.
And then you had siblings, or have siblings?
Yeah, I have one brother who is
older or younger?
Younger. He's just over a year and a half younger than me.
Yeah.
And he's kind of, well, we're very close now.
Yeah.
We've sort of, he went through life copying me, doing everything I did like a little bit better.
Yeah.
And then I ended up living with him over COVID. So
Oh, really?
was
Wow.
Quite a dramatic.
Is he married as well? Or?
No, he's not.
Yeah.
He's living in London. He's got a
Yeah.
girlfriend who's in Bath, so he kind of moves backwards and forwards. But no, so he's not.
Yeah.
He's not married.
Super. And schooling? You went to kind of school close to where you lived? Or?
It's about half an hour away from where I lived. And then when I was 13, I went to boarding school, which was, it's great. I actually loved it. It's sort of, I think it's one of those things you either love or you hate. But I've always been someone who likes to be around other people.
Yeah.
I'm not very good at being on my own,
Yeah.
which maybe is slightly because of boarding school, I'm not sure. So being around people all the time, always having your friends there was great. I loved that. But yes, I think it depends on your personality. Some people really like their own space, and boarding school doesn't really allow that.
So I actually didn't know you went to boarding school. It's interesting for me. So my oldest son is turning 13. It's his last term, and then he's going to start in boarding school post the summer. And I wasn't so keen on it. I don't really know much about it. And so my wife introduced it to him. And so I was, well, okay, why don't we apply for 3 schools, and then we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see which one you get into. Hoping he would get into the ones which I quite liked, which were onboarding, and also a lot cheaper. And then so he applied for 3, then he only got 1, which was boarding school. However, he is very excited about going. It looks great, and so on. But I do worry about it. But from your perspective, it was a good experience. And what was your was that just like a done thing in your family, or you were quite keen, or how did it come?
Both my parents had been at boarding schools, so I think in their minds, it wasn't fixed. Like I remember discussing kind of other options, but I went to the school my mum had gone to, and I think like there was that sort of thing that where you where you look around somewhere your parents have been, that you sort of have an instant sort of draw to it, and all the stories I'd heard of them growing up included the schools. So I think it wasn't completely off, and a lot of people that I had been at primary school with went on to the same school as me, so it was quite a sort of standard.
Okay, that's nice. Yeah.
It didn't feel completely wild at the time.
Were you able to go home at weekends, or is there?
It was full boarding.
Yep.
So no, I wasn't home every weekend, but I was close enough. I played a lot of sport, and I was close enough to home that when I had sports matches at weekends, my parents would come to watch. So I'd see them and then maybe go out for lunch with them or whatever afterwards. And so I did definitely see them quite a lot. But no, I wasn't home. It did mean that your school holidays were way longer though.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I had Saturday school.
Yeah.
So
of course. Yeah. All things to get used to. But it's a good experience for you, so that is good. That is good.
Yeah, no, I did
And
enjoy
your brother went to boarding school as well?
He did. Yeah, different school.
Yeah.
Mine was all girls. And his was all boys. But he also loved it. So I guess I didn't know any different, so it's hard to know.
That's good, comforting. And so, if I have any,
I'm sure your son will love it.
No, he's like his mum, outgoing. So hopefully he'll do well. Though my youngest son is more like me, introverted, and so, but we'll see whether he's keen. But I'm not sure if he'll be a great fit. But we'll or also try some other schools, and hopefully he does better in those as well.
He might watch his older brother
Yeah,
go
exactly.
and think, actually, that looks great. I want to
Yeah.
do that too.
Yeah. And at school, kind of, what type of student were you?
I don't know, I don't even know how to describe myself at school. I was a bit of a goody-goody, but not like an ultimate, like not like a teacher's pet, but I was never one of the like big rebels, if you know what I mean. But yeah, I was sporty, so I had a lot of sports, stayed as clear as I could of anything arty or musical. That was not my cup of tea. I wasn't good at that at all. And yeah, I guess I spent most of my time probably talking too much. And
And what type of subjects did you like?
I was very much maths and sciences. I really struggled with anything with too many words in it, which kind of probably aligns to what I do now. Yeah, I stayed away from anything that was sort of essay based as early as I could. And yeah, my GCSEs were very much chosen with things that had the shortest answers you could put in, like geography over history or those types of things.
And in terms of sports, which sports did you do? Do you do them today still, any of them?
So my biggest sport was swimming, actually, when I was younger, which I still enjoy swimming, but competitive swimming is a very lonely sport. It's got a lot of...
I can't swim, but I think that as well.
It's got a lot of training, which is just you on your own.
Yeah.
And then racing is, other than relays, you're on your own. But that was probably the sport I was by far the best at. And then lacrosse, which was... It's not a very common sport, actually, but it's in the Olympics this year for the first time. Or not this year, the one coming. So that was the sport I played, sort of team sport I played the most, and I continued that at university. But again, it's quite a sort of unusual sport. So I did try joining a lacrosse club when I moved to London, and there's not very many, and so it meant like matches would be all over. You basically gave up your life to go and travel. And I was like, it's not my vibe. So I don't do that at all anymore. Yeah. So
cool. Lacrosse and swimming. Never played lacrosse, and I can't swim either. But and then university. Where did you go to university?
I went to Cambridge.
Yeah.
And I studied engineering, which was, I guess, not a very common direction for a girl to go in. It's quite a...
That's very impressive. Yeah. I was going to say, when I read that earlier, and when it comes to Connect 4 later, I did. I think I have to be on top of my game here. Yeah.
I just don't think that I don't think that my engineering skills will in any way make me better at Connect 4.
And did you like Cambridge?
I loved Cambridge. Yeah, I really liked it. I was a bit worried when I applied to it. My dad was there, and I applied to it because I was like, I'm never going to get in.
Did your dad work there or study there?
No, he studied there.
Yep.
And I applied to it because I thought, why not? I'm never going to get in, but I'll give it a go, and then Dad can know that I tried. Yeah. And then I got in, and then I had a panic. I'd already got an offer at Bristol, and I was like completely set on going to Bristol. I got an offer from Cambridge, and I was like, this is great and everything, but I was really nervous. It was just going to be really full of weirdos. Yeah. I thought it was just, I don't know, there's just this perception, isn't there, that everyone is, they've done nothing but work. Yeah. They're they were in the library the whole time, and I'd have no friends, and no one would want to do anything, and and then I met some people who were there, and actually they were really nice. Yes. I'm very glad I ended up going.
And so you fixed on engineering, it was just going to be better?
No, I was good at maths and sciences, and I didn't want to do straight maths or straight science because they were a bit too theoretical, and I liked the idea of doing something a bit more real world. So, you're solving a problem, don't just solve it to get the number, solve it to do something with it. And so engineering felt like a good kind of balance that fit with what I was able to do and was interesting in kind of real world scenarios. But ultimately I wasn't sure if I wanted to be an engineer. It kind of in my mind kept the doors open to opportunities in the future.
Yeah. So you leave Cambridge with an engineering degree, so I guess that must make you pretty, gives you plenty of options. And so, what did you do after that?
I didn't go into engineering. I thought about it. I did work experience in it through my time at Cambridge, and it just wasn't for me. It was, I don't know. I'm sure if I'd sort of stuck it out a bit more, maybe as you got more senior in it, it would have been more interesting. But the parts I really enjoyed had all been kind of taken over by the kind of problem-solving part was done by computer programs.
Yeah.
You didn't actually need to do that yourself anymore, which makes a lot of sense. And so actually the job of engineers was I'd specialised in civil engineering, and it was a lot of walking around building sites and making sure things were done as they should. And I looked like a very young girl. I mean, I was young, but I looked a lot younger than I was. And I just didn't really enjoy the whole walking around. But I looked like I was someone's daughter walking around a building site, and that's how it was responded to. And I just was like, this isn't my, I don't really see myself doing this as a career. Yeah. It wasn't enjoyable. I ended up going into strategy consulting, which was kind of, again, I didn't know what I wanted to do, and it was keep my options open. Again, sort of fixed on the problem solving side of things, fit with what I was good at. And my view was I'll learn lots about lots of different industries, and then when I know more, I can decide what I actually want to do. Because I didn't go into it thinking I would always be a strategy consultant. Yeah. But so that's how I ended up as a consultant.
Great. And I was reading you had a ski job at some point. When was that?
So when I got the job at Credos, the consultancy, I managed to convince them to defer it slightly. So it was due to start in September. I moved it to April, and then I went travelling for 4 or 5 months, and then lived in Canada for 6 months as a ski instructor.
Amazing.
So that was awesome.
Yeah. So I take it you're a pretty good skier.
I mean, my brother is much better than I am, but I am. I grew up skiing. My dad's a very, very keen skier, so pretty much all of our family holidays were skiing.
Fantastic.
It's good to hear you've started.
Absolutely. I love it. Probably 40 years too late, but it's amazing just seeing the little kids,
I loved it as a kid. You've got so much freedom as a child. You don't have that much freedom, I think, in most things you do. And then you go skiing and you... Yeah, absolutely. You can kind of pick your own line. You can do whatever. You've just got to kind of meet your parent down there.
Generally better than your parents. So it was, it's an interesting, interesting dynamic. And then how did you find strategy consulting?
I loved it. I think I have mixed feelings on it. I really enjoyed it. It's one of those careers where there's lots and lots of people who join at the same time. So you've got a really nice cohort of friends, like sort of automatic friends your age. And so I loved the people. Everyone was very smart. The work was very interesting. I think what I struggled with was in our consultancy, the projects varied between probably 3 weeks and 2 months was kind of the average, and then there were a few that were a bit longer. But they could be anything, and they could be anywhere. And at the beginning, that was really exciting. And then you reach a stage where actually you kind of want a little bit of certainty in your life, and going in on a Monday, having no idea whether you're going to be asked to go to, I don't know, some other place Monday to Thursday, or if you're going to be put on a project that's going to be really intense for 3 weeks and you basically need to cancel all your plans, is not exciting anymore. Yep.
And how long did you do that for?
Nearly 5 years.
Okay, that's a good stint.
Which was probably a couple of years too long.
Yeah.
But it gave me some opportunities it gave me opportunities to travel as well, which was great. So I lived in Dubai for 6 months because there was an office out there that the company had, and I lived in San Francisco for 5 months on a project. So that was really cool.
Absolutely.
But it kind of ran its course, I think.
I did a consulting assignment in Dubai for 6 months as well.
I might have been there at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I remember I'd gone, and then towards the end of it, I guess everything works so well in Dubai, and you have like a certain expectation because it's all so good. I remember a friend came out, and I remember I was waiting maybe for a taxi for like 2 minutes and getting really frustrated, and I was like, well. So you've changed a bit, like this is just like normal, like it's it is as you live there. It's definitely a different level of service.
It was definitely weird because it was pre-Deliveroo and all those types of things in the UK, and yet in Dubai you were hungry, you could get a chocolate bar delivered to your office, like one. I remember first day I was there, the manager on our team. So I'm a bit hungry, and he just got a few chocolates delivered. And I was like, what is this? And now that doesn't feel quite as ridiculous, but at the time it was, yeah.
I went on holiday beginning of the year. It's still impressive. It's still like developing at the same rate it was,
I imagine
20
it's
years
completely
ago.
different to when I was there.
So that was consulting. So after 5 years, you felt like you needed a different career path, and what happened after that?
I basically left. I had it in my mind that after a bit of time I would know what I wanted to do, and I didn't. I had no idea what I wanted to do, and consultancy was so all consuming when you were there that I really struggled to figure out, like to take the time to mentally decide what I did want to do. All I knew is I didn't want to keep doing that. So I ended up deciding that enough was enough. I would just leave. I left in November one year, and with nothing, no idea of what I was going to do next, other than a plan to figure it out. And it was fine for a bit. My brother was living in China, so I went and visited him, and I said, "Oh, this is all good." And then I got back and had this kind of like endless life ahead of me, thinking I have no idea what to do. My boyfriend at the time, now husband, said, like, you're not good at this. You need to have something to do. So I decided to learn to code. So I did, I found a kind of, I think it was a 9-week coding kind of boot camp. Not necessarily because I wanted to become a developer, but because it was like 9 to 3 every day. Of like, there was a bit of structure. It was focused on entrepreneurs. So it was trying to help people who had ideas to basically build them themselves, and like an MVP. And so I was quite interested in that anyway. I didn't have a business idea, but I liked the kind of vibe behind it. I started doing that, which kind of gave me a little bit of focus and then way more time to actually figure out what I wanted to do, which was good because there was no way. I'm not the type of person who, it turns out, I didn't know this before I quit my job, but I was not the type of person who could just have this kind of spanning life ahead of me with no plans at all and no structure.
And then what did you do after the coding course?
So while I was in the coding course, I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do, and I met up with a lot of people who I used to work with, Miles Lambie being one of them, who obviously was here. And was trying to figure out, what type of jobs there were. And I kept coming across product, but didn't know a huge amount about it. And then through the coding course, towards the end of it, we were creating, an idea and worked in groups to actually, build it properly. And I realised that actually the part I really enjoyed was the figuring out what we should do, what features it should have, and that side of things, which turned out to be called product management. I started applying to some product companies. Didn't get very far. They all had the they would say on job specs that it was fine if you didn't have product experience, and then you'd speak to them, and the first question would be, "Well, tell me about a time you brought a product to market," and you'd be like, "Well, I haven't." But this is how I think I could, learn it. And I didn't get very far with my product interviews, and ended up actually getting a job via a friend's company for a bit, who was looking for someone to help him in the commercial side of his business, and said, "Well, if you come in and help me with the commercial side, you can also work with the product team a bit and kind of basically get a bit into product and get experience that way." So I did that for about 3 months. And while I was there, Miles contacted me and said, I don't know if you're still looking for a job in product, but we're hiring. And I met Tim Phillip and had a very casual chat with him in the Hive at Hammersmith. And then he was like, cool, next step. So you come in for a formal interview. And then that afternoon he called me and said, actually, do you want to have a job? And I had a panic because I was like, oh my God, I thought I just met you for a coffee. But yeah, and then that's that. I ended up at Salary Finance.
Amazing. And what? So you said you're employee 20 at that time, and kind of what stage was the business at that time?
We had a lending product that had just been. You'd been a loan broker for a while, and you'd just become a proper lender in your own right, and the legal and general funding was due, but hadn't yet come in. So I joined in June. I think the funding came in sort of maybe September. Great. Is that about right? So yeah, it was early days. I was brought in to set up the savings product. So that was
absolutely.
That was the timeline.
Fantastic. So we'll play a bit of Connect 4 over these next few questions, and so tell us a little bit about the different. You can go first.
Goodness me, right in the middle.
And so tell us about I guess your time at Salary Finance, the different types of things you've done.
What type of things have I done? So I started by doing the savings product.
Mm-hmm. That was YBS, the first one?
Yeah, YBS. So it was figuring out how we should do it. There was already a relationship with YBS. It was already decided that we would launch with YBS. Mm-hmm. And then it was just a question of how. So that was, that was my main job there. Yeah. So we launched with that, I think about 6 months after I joined. And then GDPR came in. Mm-hmm. So I did a lot of work on GDPR. Yeah. And then I think I'm going to get my timelines wrong. I think it was then the US launch. Yeah. So I helped on everything related to the US launch. And then we decided to do advance. Mm-hmm. So I think that was then the move from, I was then focused on building out the advanced product. Have you just been?
Yeah.
Oh, goodness me. So I was then focused on building out the advanced product. And then, of course, it was the new stack, which was the... then it was the new stack and how we could... I've just given it to you. No. I missed it. How annoying. I was laughing at me because I'm awful at this game. Yeah, so then I did lots of work on trying to get the new stack live. And I feel like there were some other things in there, but I can't think what any of them were. Yeah. And aggregators.
Yes.
Launched aggregators. That was a big part.
Yeah.
Awesome. So it was heavily save in advance to begin with, and then some aggregator work. And then I went on maternity leave and came back and then have focused more on borrow. Yeah.
And then how has that experience been in terms of going on maternity leave and then returning?
Yeah, it's been...
and then about to go again?
About to go again. It has been... It's interesting. I think the things I found difficult about it were different to what I thought I'd struggle with. I thought I'd struggle being out of work for a year, and I thought I'd get really bored and I'd want to come back sooner. And I just wasn't sure how I'd handle that whole side of things. Yeah. I loved maternity leave. I loved spending time with my daughter. And actually the thing I struggled most with was, it wasn't the coming back to work. I was excited to engage my brain again in something different to sleep. But I don't think I'd anticipated the amount that, a child starting nursery and the mental toll on giving your child to someone for the day and then hating it. She loves it now, but at the beginning she hated it and she was ill, and I just hadn't prepared myself, I think, for that side of returning to work. Yeah. But it is what it is. You kind of return to work and then you're off again for a week because your daughter's got a temperature. Yeah. It's just, it is what it is. But it's great. I think you change quite a lot as a person when you have a kid, and I don't know if I'd expected the level of change. But
Absolutely.
it's enjoyable.
And, so your daughter is 1 now?
1.5.
1.5. A little bit premature, but, when she turns 13, do you think you would do boarding school for her, or?
I had this chat with my husband the other day. I don't know. I think it will slightly depend on her as a person and like what she's like. It's very hard to say right now. At the moment she's chaos, so maybe it'll be a great thing. But also, I love seeing her growing up, and I don't know how I don't know. It's so hard to say when they're this young. Like the idea that she'd be somewhere else.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that would be positive or a negative. Right now, it feels. I think I'd find that quite difficult, and I think I'd rather that she was at home.
Yeah.
But then I loved
Your
being at boarding
experience,
school myself,
absolutely.
so I wouldn't want to deny
Yeah.
that experience if it was something she wanted.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
My
It's very
son,
hard to say.
they can come home at the weekends and on the Wednesday, so you almost get the best of both.
Yeah.
And you're excited for number 2? Do you know if it's a boy or girl?
It's a girl.
Girl, okay.
Yeah, another
excellent.
girl.
Wow.
Yeah, very excited. Although I'm definitely not as with baby number 1. You've got you have no things. You don't know what you don't know how to look after a baby. You're like, oh my God, I've got to have a baby. What's that about? Like everything's. I don't know. I was so panicked in the run up of like, what don't I know? And now she's due in 6 weeks and I have done nothing.
Wow.
So maybe I need to. In my mind, we've got everything we need because we had it for Letty, but I don't know if that's quite true.
And I guess there's 2 girls as well, which is
exactly.
easier,
In my mind.
Yeah, good.
I think I need to engage my brain a little bit in the act of what actually needs to be done.
And Letty is the name of your mum. She's excited to have.
She has absolutely no idea.
Okay.
I show her my tummy quite a lot to say, oh, your baby sister's in here. And what she now thinks is that that's a normal greeting. So she goes up to people and just gets her tummy out and rubs it, which isn't, it's quite awkward at times, but it's, she has no idea what's going on.
And how many weeks of work left?
I finished the end of May. So what's that, 5 weeks?
Yeah.
And then I'm due, I think, in 6.5. So
got the big new aggregator single page launch next week.
Yes.
Yeah. So hopefully,
so that, it's exciting.
Absolutely.
Need to make sure all of that happens and I can watch it all the positives of it before I go away.
Super. Well, Katie, thank you for being an awesome SFer, longest standing and everything you do. And you're just super nice to chat. So even though you've been at SF a while, you just get to learn new things. So I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you. And I'm worried that someone's going to look at this and go, oh my God, Katie, I was here before you. And be embarrassed. I've just forgotten them.
Super. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And I think last question is always, what is your karaoke song, if you have one?
Oh, goodness. I think you even told me to prepare for that, and I didn't at all.
You can pick a nursery rhyme if you want.
Yeah, definitely not about nursery rhyme. I'd probably go some like a Spice Girls song.
Okay, good, strong. I like it.
I'd go like full 90s.
Very good.
But I wouldn't do it on my own. Yeah. I'm not. I love karaoke, but in a group. So it would be a song that needs lots of people, and you can all sing at the same time, so that you can't actually hear my voice.
Well, thank you, Katie. Thank you, everyone, for listening in. I hope you have a great week and keep fighting the good fight.